Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to make one of my little concoctions of cultured vegetables. There's a couple of different variations on this on my site. Feel free to try them out. The way you make it is basically the same. All it is different vegetables that you put in. The one thing that is a constant that you'll always use is your cabbage, okay? That's what you start with. So in terms of your setup, the key things you need are your veggies. So definitely your cabbage. It could be only cabbage, or you could add, today what I'm going to throw in is a few stalks of celery, some radish, and a sweet potato. You need to have a nice big bowl. You need to have your whey. And you need to have a food processor. This is going to make your life so much easier because chopping all of these vegetables is a total pain. Here is the setting that I use. It's basically the grating setting, okay? If you don't have one of these, I highly encourage you to invest in one if you're going to make this kind of stuff a lot because it will save you a ton of time. Also, what you need to have is one or more of these quart-sized jars, okay? Preferably the ones with these kind of screw top lids, the little mason jars. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to chop up our cabbage. So what I do is cut it into big old quarters, like I just did, and then into eighths. Basically, it's got to fit into that little hole. Okay? So if you didn't have a food processor, you would just chop it all up from here. So as you can see, that's one cabbage. That would have been a lot of work if I'd had to chop that by hand. And that filled up, that one cabbage filled up this whole food processor. So we're just gonna toss this out into this big old bowl. Look at how much cabbage that is. Yummy. That would have been a lot of chopping to do by hand. A lot of chopping. So now, what we're gonna do is the same thing with the radish, the celery, and the sweet potato. So you notice that's not nearly as much radish as we used in of cabbage, and that's intentional. The cabbage, if you think of this like a salad, the cabbage is kind of like the lettuce, okay? And the rest of the stuff is just extras. Now I want to show you here, you see some of the celery, it's not the best celery. You probably would maybe either cut this part off or not use it. That doesn't really matter so much when you're doing cultured veggies. The most important thing is that it's clean, and actually there's a little dirty bit at the bottom of that. There we go. And then I will take the sweet potato. I don't even peel them. I kind of like it with the peel on, you know? Just cut it so that it will fit into that little hole. Will it fit? Yep. So, there is my mixture. Now this is just radish, some sweet potato, some celery, and then all that cabbage. And remember, thinking of the cabbage as the lettuce in the salad. So that's the biggest part of it, okay? That's great. So what I'm gonna do now is, I do like to get my hands into this. I'm gonna add the whey. Now some people will just go and pour it on in. I like to do about 4 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, give or take. And then I do add some sea salt as well. Now some recipes call for quite a lot. I'll do about half of a tablespoon, about that much for this batch, okay? Just to give it a little flavor. Now you can add, if you like it spicy, you can add some jalapenos. You can throw in some cilantro. You can, I mean, really, there's so many things you can do. I've seen broccoli in here. I've thrown peppers in here. The thing you want to make sure is that some of these, like I use just a little bit of yam. You wouldn't want to use more than just that one yam. You know, I wouldn't do yam and carrots and beets, for example, because those are all, they break down into sugar really quickly and they get kind of slimy. So you just get it all nice and mixed up. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to throw it into a jar. So, jar. You don't need to have boiled. It does need to be, I'm going to rinse this, make sure it's clean. You don't need to boil it or anything like that. In fact, That kind of excessive sterilization is not at all what you want. You want it to be clean, but just, you know, warm water and soap is fine. Now there are these handy little things you can use that will get the veggies in here, kind of like a funnel if you're gonna be making a lot of these. I didn't bring mine with me today, but now you see that every time I put it in, I'm really pushing it down. If you get a nice close up, you can see, look at all that good veggie juice that's kind of coming up. You really want to make sure that there's no air bubbles. So give it some good, nice pressure down. This is quite a mild one. Some of the recipes out there can be pretty potent, but the taste of sour is already a new flavor for a lot of people, so I like to start out. This is a good kind of starter one. Here we go. So you see when I push it down, I like to use a spoon here at the end. See that good liquid is coming out? Now, a really important thing is you want to make sure that there is a good inch to an inch and a half at the top between the top of your veggies and the top of your jar, which I have gotten incredibly dirty. That's kind of the way I am. So you want to make sure there's lots of space there, okay? Now, what we can do, what you could, if I had remembered to leave one, you could take a cabbage leaf and put it on top, just kind of fold it up and put it in here to a full leaf or like a part of a leaf, kind of as a little seal. You don't need to, but that's kind of a nice thing to do. But what we'll do now is grab our lid, close it up, give it a little, all this extra stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it out, not in the fridge. You want to leave it out on the counter, and leave it for a good 3 to 4 to 5 days. Now how many days? If it's in the middle of summer and it's kind of hot in your kitchen, 3 days is fine. If it's in the middle of winter and it's really cold in your kitchen, you probably want to leave it closer to 5 days. But when you leave it out, it's going to do its nice yummy fermenting, and then you can pop it in the fridge. In fact, we've got one in the fridge right here. So this is a slightly different recipe, but similar kind of idea. You can see, yum, yum, yum. Now, ways to, oh, I'll show you what it, nope, I won't show you what it looks like. Open it up. You can see how it has already expanded a little bit. So this one was down, was packed a lot tighter, and it has grown up a little bit. Smells really good, nice and strong. Now, how do you eat these things, are you wondering? Well, they improve digestibility of just about anything, so they're great to eat with just about anything. A few of my favorite ways to eat them, I actually really like them with eggs in the morning, and I know some people find that a bit gross, but I quite like them. They're great with any kind of protein. You can throw them into a salad. In fact, often what I'll do is once I've tossed a salad with some dressing, I'll throw in a couple of spoonfuls of this and toss it in there. A lot of people don't even notice, and it's totally increasing the nutritional value of the salad. You can have it as a garnish with basically any meal. It's great with any kind of barbecued meat or anything that's grilled that's got a little bit of that char, because that charcoal tastes yummy. It's actually carcinogenic, and eating this alongside it will actually neutralize the negative effects of the carcinogenic factors. So really good thing to eat. You know, you can put it in just about anything. One really important thing to know is don't heat it. Okay, so if you're going to eat it with hot foods, that's fine, but don't actually cook this or throw it into a sauce that you heat or throw it into a soup that you're going to then heat, because all of the beneficial bacteria in here, they are living. And as soon as you heat it, you're going to kill them, and you really want them. It's just like taking, so you think you take your acidophilus or something like this to help give you all that good, all those good beneficial bacteria. That's what's in here, packed full of them. So don't heat it, but eat it with anything you can think of. And if you have creative ideas that I haven't included, I'd love to hear them. Send me an email. I'd love to share them with the rest of the world. Thanks.